Welcome to Story Stream. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a young man named Aaron. Aaron had big dreams and an even bigger habit: he shared them with everyone. Every morning he would announce his plans. One day he would become a renowned scholar, another day a successful merchant, and sometimes he imagined himself as a leader admired by all. His words flowed like music to the ears of his neighbors, and the applause of strangers filled him with temporary pride. Aaron loved the attention. He thrived on the admiration of villagers, friends, and even passing travelers. Each time someone nodded or complimented him, he felt a rush of energy and a sense of achievement, as if the mere act of speaking his dreams had already completed them. He boasted of writing books, starting a trade business, and building a school, but when evening came, he faced the blank page and empty plans in solitude. Days passed, then weeks, and Aaron noticed a strange feeling. Excitement during the announcement, followed by emptiness when it was time to act. Motivation, once burning bright, began to flicker. The villagers, once curious and supportive, began to smile politely but no longer watched with expectation. Aaron could not understand why speaking his dreams seemed to drain his willpower. Unbeknownst to him, this was a lesson older than the village, a lesson about silence, energy, and the hidden strength of unseen effort. The first invisible chain that bound him was forming: the habit of announcing before planting, praising before achieving, and speaking before acting. After months of loudly sharing his plans, Aaron noticed a pattern he could not ignore. Each time he spoke, he felt a surge of confidence, a sense of accomplishment, and a fleeting joy. People clapped, nodded, and offered words of encouragement. Strangers praised his ambitions, friends smiled at his ideas, and his family admired his boldness. For a moment, it felt as if the work was already done. But when Aaron returned to his modest home, sitting alone in the fading light, he felt an unfamiliar heaviness. The projects he promised, the books, the business, the school, remained untouched. The energy he had spent on words left no room for action. Motivation seemed to evaporate the moment he received attention. It was as if speaking his dreams had prematurely satisfied his brain, giving him the illusion of progress while stealing the drive to actually do the work. Each announcement was a small, silent drain on his willpower. At night, Aaron lay awake under the thatched roof of his home, questioning himself. Am I lazy? Am I unlucky? Why does my excitement fade? The answers eluded him. What he did not realize was that praise, applause, and attention were not his enemies, but the act of broadcasting goals too early had created a subtle chain of distraction. His dreams, once private seeds, had become fragile under the gaze of the world. And slowly, unnoticed, they began to wilt. The village elders observed quietly. They had seen many young men and women like Aaron, whose ambitions crumbled when spoken too soon. They knew the hidden power of silence, to protect the seed of potential until it was strong enough to flourish. One serene afternoon, Aaron wandered to the edge of the village, where an ancient oak tree stood like a silent guardian over the hills. There, sitting calmly on a simple wooden bench, was an elderly man known to all as Master Huron, a sage respected not for words, but for his deeds. His eyes held depth, his posture radiated quiet confidence, and his presence seemed to command attention without demanding it. Compelled by curiosity, Aaron approached and began to pour out his frustrations. I work hard, yet my plans never materialize. I announce my dreams, but they vanish before my eyes. I try, I fail, I try again, yet nothing sticks. Why does this happen? He exclaimed, almost shouting in the serenity of the clearing. The elder listened without interrupting, his hands resting gently on his knees. When Aaron finally fell silent, exhausted, Master Huron spoke softly. Tell me, young one, why do you announce seeds before planting them? Aaron blinked, confused. Seeds before planting? I don't understand. The elder smiled faintly, his eyes twinkling. Come back tomorrow. Bring patience. And bring silence. For the first time, Aaron felt a mixture of anticipation and unease. He had expected advice, not a riddle. Yet something in the elder's calmness hinted that the answer would be far more powerful than any of the applause he had ever received. The next morning, Aaron returned to the ancient oak as instructed. Master Huron waited patiently, holding two small seeds in his weathered hands. The elder's eyes glimmered with quiet wisdom as he spoke. One seed you will announce to the world. The other, you will plant in silence. Aaron took the seeds with trembling hands. He was eager to show the villagers, to receive admiration, to feel the rush of attention. So he chose the first seed, announcing it loudly in the marketplace. People gathered, smiled, and applauded him. "What a brilliant idea," they said. "We can't wait to see it grow." Aaron's heart soared with pride, believing that this approval alone was progress. Then, with careful hands, he planted the second seed in the secluded corner of his small garden. No one watched. No one praised. The sun rose and set quietly over it. Aaron tended it daily with patience, nurturing it with care, whispering no words, telling no one. Days turned into weeks. The announced seed, basking in attention but neglected in effort, began to wilt. The silent seed, hidden from eyes, flourished. Its leaves sprouted strong and resilient, bending with the wind but never breaking. Aaron's heart began to understand a hidden truth: attention gives a false sense of completion, while silence allows growth to take root deep within. Master Huron observed Aaron as the young man cared for the two seeds. After several weeks, the elder spoke again, his voice calm yet firm. "Do you notice the difference, Aaron? One seed with noise and attention is weak. One with quiet diligence is strong. This is the science of silence." Aaron frowned. "Science? How does this relate to my life?" The elder explained, "When you speak your goals too early, your mind releases a small dose of dopamine, creating the illusion of achievement. You feel rewarded without acting, and motivation diminishes. The applause of others substitutes for effort, but it cannot replace discipline or results. Your energy leaks into words instead of action." He continued, "Silent effort protects your intentions from distraction, comparison, and judgment. It keeps your potential fragile, but safe. Those who achieve greatness, scientists, artists, leaders, understand this instinctively. They work quietly until their results speak louder than any words could." Aaron sat in stunned silence. He realized that his repeated failures were not due to laziness or misfortune, but because he had been announcing seeds before planting them. He had been spending energy on praise, not progress. From that moment, he understood that silence was not empty, it was powerful. Aaron decided to put Master Huron's lesson into practice. He made a conscious choice: no more announcing his dreams. At first, it felt strange. He was used to seeking validation, to sharing progress with anyone who would listen. The applause, the nods, and the smiles he once craved were gone. He felt an unusual emptiness, a quiet unease that whispered, "Are you doing enough?" Yet in that silence, something remarkable began to happen. With every unannounced task, Aaron's focus sharpened. His mornings were spent actively planting seeds, studying, writing, or learning practical skills. His evenings were filled with reflection, not boasting. No attention was required, no praise received, yet the progress was undeniable. The energy he had wasted on speaking was now channeled into doing. Days turned into weeks, and Aaron discovered an inner rhythm. Silence became a protective force. He no longer compared himself to others. He no longer sought approval for every small step. Each completed task, each small growth, felt entirely his own, untouched by judgment. Aaron's confidence transformed from being externally fueled to internally built. He realized that by withdrawing from noise, he had found clarity, purpose, and discipline that words alone could never give. As the weeks passed, Aaron noticed the temptation to announce his progress creeping back into his mind. Friends would ask casually, "What have you accomplished?" and strangers would say, "Show us your work." Each time, a familiar urge flared within him, the urge to boast, to seek approval, to feel accomplished before the work was truly done. One afternoon, while tending his quiet garden, he felt the pull of old habits. He imagined the nods of villagers, the proud glances of family, and the fleeting satisfaction of attention. His mind whispered, "Just share a little. You deserve to be noticed." But Aaron remembered Master Huron's words. He took a deep breath and resisted. The urge passed. Another day, the same temptation returned, and he resisted again. Each time he chose silence, a subtle yet powerful feeling grew inside him, a sense of ownership, focus, and inner strength. He realized that temptation was a test of character. Speaking prematurely might bring praise, but silence protected progress. The discipline of withholding words became a source of personal power. With every silent choice, Aaron felt a deeper alignment with his purpose and a stronger connection to the work itself, untarnished by distraction or comparison. In this silence, he was becoming unstoppable. Months passed, and the silent work of Aaron began to bear fruit. Unlike before, when announcements and applause replaced effort, now his progress was tangible, measurable, and undeniable. The small garden he had nurtured flourished beyond expectations, each plant strong, resilient, and healthy. His books, once empty and forgotten, were now filled with carefully drafted ideas, structured chapters, and polished notes. Even his small business plan was beginning to take shape, backed by real research and disciplined action. The villagers began to notice subtle changes. They observed the young man working diligently, day after day, without seeking recognition or praise. Curiosity replaced skepticism. Some came quietly to see what he had accomplished, but Aaron said nothing. He let the results speak for themselves. There were no announcements, no speeches, no flashy gestures, just consistent, meaningful action. People were astonished. Those who had once laughed or doubted him were now quietly impressed. Aaron felt a deep satisfaction, unlike the fleeting pleasure of applause. This time, his confidence was rooted in reality, not in the illusion of accomplishment. Through silence, patience, and discipline, he had discovered a fundamental truth: results, not words, define success. One evening, Aaron returned to the oak tree where Master Huron often sat. The elder observed him quietly, a gentle smile playing on his lips. "You have learned well, Aaron," he said. "Do you understand now why silence is not emptiness?" Aaron nodded slowly. "Yes, Master. Words are fleeting. They give a false sense of accomplishment. But by working quietly, I have created something real, something lasting. I feel my progress in my hands, in my mind, and in my heart." Master Huron continued, "Silence is not secrecy. It is respect for your work, your time, and your future. By protecting your dreams from the eyes and opinions of others, you allow them to grow strong, resilient, and true. The moment you announce them prematurely, the seed becomes vulnerable to distraction, doubt, and judgment." Aaron reflected on all he had learned. The temptation to speak, the lessons from the seeds, the quiet weeks of effort, they had transformed him. His failures, once confusing and painful, were now clear: they had been caused by giving away his energy through words. Now, with every silent effort, he had discovered self-discipline, focus, and mastery over himself. He realized the final lesson: success belongs not to those who speak the loudest, but to those who work with intent, patience, and quiet determination. From that day onward, Aaron never stopped dreaming. He simply stopped announcing his goals before they were ready. He continued working quietly, diligently, and with purpose. Each morning he rose with a plan, each evening he reflected on completed tasks. No applause, no approval, no validation, only results. As months turned into years, the villagers could not ignore the transformation. The young man who once craved attention became a figure of quiet respect. His books were published, his small business prospered, and his garden overflowed with life. More importantly, Aaron had gained a discipline, focus, and inner peace that no recognition could have given him. He remembered the 2 seeds and the wisdom of Master Huron. He realized that true success was never about words or praise, it was about nurturing potential in silence until it was strong enough to withstand the world. Announcing plans too soon might bring momentary admiration, but true achievement belongs to those who let their actions, not words, speak. Aaron smiled as he walked through the village, feeling fulfilled. He had learned the most valuable lesson of all: silence does not mean hiding, it means protecting what is precious, building quietly, and letting the results shine louder than any declaration ever could. And in that quiet mastery, he found the power to truly succeed.